NZXT brought up an air cooler. How good is it compared to all these other ones that are around the same price? Well, let's find out right now, shall we? So I was a little surprised when I saw that NZXT was going to be releasing an air cooler. When they reached out to me, they're like, hey, Robey, do you want to check this out? And I was like, well, absolutely. And then shortly after that, we had, the real numbers for the 7000 series and then the real numbers for 13th gen. And we're like, geez, these are hot. So how realistic was it for NZXT to actually release an air cooler? And sure, we have a lot of older generation CPUs to look at, but I was genuinely interested. And then at the same time, just looking at the overall design, I was like, man, aesthetically, it's pretty good looking, but how good is it? As I was reaching and talking to my audience over on Discord, which you should join, by the way, over at discord.gg/Robeytech, because we talk about this stuff and this is how ideas for videos come to be. They were like, well, how does it start going against something like the V-True V5 or the AK620 or the AK400? And all of a sudden we're like, you know what? We should test all this stuff. So we did, to the bench. Before we get too crazy and kind of go into it, I'm going to walk you through mentally kind of where I went through. So, here we are over on NZXT's site. So you have two. You have the T120 and then you have the T120 RGB, and they come in the black and the white. Non-RGB is $49.99 and the RGB version is $59.99. The fans themselves are actually pretty impressive. They have a CFM of 50.18 and then an 8 mmH2O or static pressure, which is its ability to push air through a radiator, of 2.7 mmH2O. That's on par with Noctua fans. And I was like, maybe this actually isn't all that bad. Okay, well, what am I going to put it on then? If I was gonna test this, I went and talked to folks on my Discord like BMOC and OrChaos and they were like, maybe we try this with a 13th gen. So I was like, oh, let's try a 13.6, maybe a 13.7, and let's see how this thing actually cools. So I got the data right here, and this is gonna get cut out anyway, even though unless you find some funny way to turn this into a remixed dance version or something like that, that would be really impressive. The machine that we actually did this on, we used an Asus ROG Z790 Hero board. We used a Core i5 13600K. We did try with 13700. It didn't work, so we're just gonna ignore that. Can't air cool at 13.7 with this. An NVIDIA RTX 3080 FE, which is you still had to have a GPU. We used Kingston Fury 2x16 6000 megahertz DDR5 RAM, and all of this was on our typical Prima wet bench. Open air benches, right? So giving it the best possible scenario. Now, I will let you know that these are very close to the temps that we actually got inside of the H5 Flow. So this is, if you have a good airflow case, this is what you're gonna be able to expect. Okay, so let's take a look at the graphs here. So when we look at the T120 in a one fan configuration, the CPU was sitting at 83. Okay, not bad for a 13.6, which is, a pretty powerful and nice and warm CPU, and especially given, what it's got from a core perspective and from P cores and E cores, it's a significant jump, and being able to cool that at 83, pretty good. The RGB version, 87, so a bit warmer, so you see a 4-degree jump in terms of temperatures there, but still completely reasonable. And for gaming, guys, your PC is never gonna be as hot as we're talking about. This is gaming, it's gonna be nowhere near this. But we also wanna say, okay, looking at those, that's actually pretty good, but what if we stuck a second fan on it? We're not gonna use the RGB fan, because why would you stick RGB against another radiator? That's weird. So we did the F120P, which is their non-RGB. When we threw the F120P fan, so taking it up to essentially $65, then the temps start to get really magical. So here we have it under load, 77 with the non-RGB version, and the RGB version sitting at 79. That's fantastic. When we're talking about Cinebench R23 running for half an hour, multi-core testing, 77 and 79 under load, that is great. And I was like, wow, this is actually a good cooler. And they were like, compared to what? And I was like, that's a good point. We should probably compare this to some other coolers. So we did. We have a number here. We got the V-True V5, which is a one fan. We got the Deepcool AK400, another one fan. We did the Deepcool AK620 because it's just like the Darling, it's a 2-fan configuration. We did the Be Quiet Pure Rock Slim 2, which is a 1-fan. Be Quiet Pure Rock 2 FX, which is also 1 fan. The Noctua U12S, because you got to, it's the redo, 1 fan. We did the L9i because we wanted to use a 13.6. I was like, hey, can this actually cool a 13.6? And yeah, surprised it can't. But it was fun for science, and we're all about science. So here it is right here. Now when you see one fan, that means that there's a single fan. The two fan means that the NZXT cooler actually does have the second F120P fan. So starting out there, T120, the two fan is actually gonna do it the best. The non-RGB version does it the best at 77 under load. Then you've got the D-Cool AK620, our other two fan one that we tested, coming in at 78. Then you've got the RGB version of this, so if you need a little bling bling with that ring, which looks super clean by the way, 79. And then we're getting into the one fan. So on the one fan side, the first top of the line is the U12S, the redo, coming in at 81, and then right behind it is the non-RGB version of the T120. And then you've got the very, and probably the darling of this whole thing at $38, the Deep-Cool AK400, followed by the RGB, followed by the V-True V5, followed by then the Be Quiet as some of the most expensive, and then finally that L9i, that neither that nor the Pure Slim, both at 99, could really just not handle the 13.6. So where does the NZXT fit? Well, the interesting thing is that when you look at this cooler, you know, when I think about my final thoughts comparatively to everything else, when you look at this cooler, it's a very polished cooler. In terms of installation, you know, we'll talk a little bit about that. Very easy to install. It's just got a single base. You pop it in, you screw it right into that. You know, one of the things I've noticed about the U12A and even the redo is that when you put the fans on, it scratches the black paint. This doesn't have that issue. And the other thing too is there's something just really well engineered about the quality of this versus the other one. Now, is it $20, you know, up to almost $20 more than the AK400? You know, that's up to the eye of the beholder. From a cooling standpoint, I can't argue that the T120 is a better value for sure. Aesthetically, I would say it's a whole lot cleaner. So good job, NZXT. Absolutely fantastic cooler, and you know, consider me a fan. Sorry, I thought that was funny. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Were you surprised? Like, what do you think aesthetics, how much are aesthetics important to you as well as performance? Because I feel like a little bit that's what you're paying for here. So I'd love to know that down in the comments below. I'd also like to know where you live on the RGB versus non-RGB and how much second fans cost. I think that's another good question. So let me know down that down in the comments below as well. Now, while you're down there, make sure that you see that like and subscribe button. Just punch it as hard as you can, but just don't break your monitor or your keyboard, because I just don't want to be responsible for that. While you're at it, hit that notification bell so you can find out when we have more videos just like this that are coming out. Now, if you have other questions about this cooler or just questions about air cooling in general, you should join our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech. We have tons of people who love to talk about these very things and have their just great opinions. Super smart people who even I listen to. I know, believe it or not, I don't know everything. If you knew me, you'd know that I didn't know anything, and I don't pretend to either. But anyway, discord.gg/Robeytech. Go give it a follow, and you know what? You might make a friend, and friends are a good thing. Also, did you, if you're looking for availability, I know it's holiday shopping season. If you're looking for deals and all that sort of stuff, follow us at Robeytech Deals on Twitter, or follow us over at robeytech.com/deals, where you can find pretty inexpensive information on when GPUs become available, when there's good sales, all that sort of stuff going into the holiday shopping season. Did you see that super awesome video of us playing 4090 Jenga? Or what about us getting that 4090 from a vending machine? I mean, there's content like that at Robeytech everywhere, over on Instagram, TikTok. We used to be on Tinder, but unfortunately I'm married now, so sorry, but we're good there. But anyway, follow us at Robeytech absolutely everywhere, guys. I'd love to just have you see all that content we're making all the time. Anyway, that is it for this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.